Bienvenidos a Soy Violento Soy Macabro Podcast. Yo soy Dee y esta semana cubriré un caso que sucedió en San Antonio, Texas.
Advertencia: la información de este caso puede ser desencadenante para algunos. Tenga en cuenta que algunos de estos casos pueden involucrar menores de edad, abuso, violación o violencia. Escuchen con precaución.
Warning: the information on this case can be triggering to some. Please be advised that some of these cases may involve children, abuse, rape, and violence. Listen with caution.
What happens when someone you love vanishes without a trace? Every missing person has a story, and behind each case is a family desperate for answers. In this episode, we delve into the disappearance of Bianca Carrasco, a young mother who went missing on the night of May 1st, 2016 in San Antonio, Texas, after a heated argument with her husband of 10 years. Without concrete evidence or a clear lead about her whereabouts, her children have been left to believe that she vanished with another man, a narrative that her family disputes. They are convinced she didn't disappear by choice, and continue to fight fearlessly for answers, asking the public for help. This is the disappearance of Bianca Carrasco.
She's really funny. If I needed to laugh, I could call her and I would laugh. She had this way of making really hard things funny. You know, like if she was crying, she was still laughing.
No, she wouldn't have taken off on foot, as her husband said.
There's no doubt for Giovanna Burney that her sister Bianca Carrasco is dead.
She wouldn't have taken off at all. And she certainly would not just vanish and not contact me or someone.
Now, she just wants answers and closure for her kids.
I just want to find her. You know, I want to find her. She has kids. They believe that she walked away from them. And that's not okay. That's not okay. They have to know. They have to know that their mom did not walk away. I've been told by the police that some crimes are just not solvable. And I've been told a lot of things to kind of just make me be quiet or go away. But I can't do that. For anybody who knows what happened to her, it's not going to go away. And I don't want anyone thinking that. Because I know it's exhausting at times. It's exhausting. It's heavy. Regardless, I still have to keep looking for her.
Bianca Carrasco was born on July 21st, 1986 in Odessa, Texas. According to Giovanna, her younger sister, they grew up with their parents for a few years, but then their parents ended up splitting up, and they would bounce back and forth between staying with their mother and their father. But eventually they ended up staying with her father's side of the family and growing up with them. Giovanna describes Bianca to be her best friend. She said that they had done everything together. They grew up together. They even raised their children together. And overall, they had a very strong bond. She also says that her sister was very sassy and overprotective of her sister, which is Giovanna, and all of her close friends. She also says that Bianca was very honest and blunt and tried her best not to hurt anybody's feelings. She also says that her sister's humor was very contagious, that she would make everyone laugh around her, but also make light of the toughest situations. At 16 years old, Bianca became pregnant while she was in high school, and at 17 years old, she gave birth to her first child. Sadly, she didn't feel like she was prepared enough to take care of a child and gave her child up for adoption. Shortly after giving birth, she continued her education and eventually graduated high school at 18 years old. After graduating, she decided she wanted to reconnect with her mother and her mother's side of the family. According to Giovanna, they didn't grow up knowing her mom's side of the family, so there was no real connection between them. So they kind of were reconnecting with them again at a much older age. According to Barbara Talamantes, which is Bianca's mother, Joel Daniel was married to her sister Brenda. They even had a daughter who was around 8 years old around the time that Bianca entered the picture. However, they shortly divorced after Bianca came into the picture, and in order to get back at Brenda, Joe Daniel decided to woo Bianca and try to, flirt with her and just try to just kind of embrace Bianca and show her off, and eventually through this connection became romance, and Bianca ended up getting pregnant from Joe Daniel at 18 years old. Shortly after finding out that she was pregnant, they got married, and Barbara told Dateline TV that the relationship just started purely out of malice and not because there was actually a deep connection there. Joe Daniel puts a huge strain in the family, and eventually there was a lot of disconnect between them, a lot of just arguments and just people not getting along with each other just because of the relationship that Joe Daniel had with Bianca. Barbara goes on to tell Dateline, quote, Daniel very much manipulated, trying to keep Bianca away from all of the family. He tried to keep her away completely. The last time I saw Bianca was probably 5 years ago, before she went missing. Bianca and I were not on speaking terms, and I didn't end up talking to my daughter before she went missing. I blame Daniel for that. For the next couple of years, Bianca and Daniel ended up having 3 children and were married for almost 10 years. Although they were together, Bianca was still trying to better her life for herself as well as her children, so she decided to go back to school and get a career. The fact that she was very caring and loving and nurturing, she decided to choose a career in nursing. In October 2015, she graduated from Odessa College as a nurse, and shortly after graduation, she got hired by an oncologist's office in San Antonio, Texas. Odessa and San Antonio were approximately 5 hours away from each other, so she convinced Joe Daniel that they should leave Odessa and start a new life in San Antonio, so she could work at her new job. Although Joe Daniel worked in the oil field, he decided to keep his job there and commute the 5 hours to work when he was on call, in order to keep their life in San Antonio while he was also having his job as in the oil fields. This meant that Joe Daniel and Bianca wouldn't see each other that often during the week. Eventually, this lifestyle added more strain to their marriage. According to Giovanna, Bianca began to feel a bit more independent after finishing school and working in her field. She felt like she could provide for herself and her children. At times, Bianca officially was done with Joe Daniel, and she decided to change her marital status on her Facebook page from married to divorce. It was kind of a big deal because during this time period, a lot of people would constantly update their status, whether they were single, in a relationship. So this was kind of the first step that Bianca did in order to show that she was ready to move on from Joe Daniel. Although they weren't officially divorced, Bianca began to live her life as a single woman. According to Bianca's family, Joe Daniel was threatened by Bianca's success. He would also take credit for all of the things that Bianca did. For example, her graduating school, her getting a job, everything that she did, he was kind of saying, well, you wouldn't have that if it wasn't for me. Bianca would eventually tell her family and friends and coworkers that she was tired of Joe Daniel's controlling behavior. She wanted to file for divorce. During this time, Bianca started to talk to other men, but was talking to one particular man that alerted Joe Daniel, to the point that he felt threatened that she would eventually leave him, causing more arguments within the relationship. Joe Daniel began accusing Bianca of cheating and threatening her to take away her children if she decides to go with a divorce. According to Giovanna, quote, the Wednesday before she went missing, she was scared he was because he was angry. He had just found out about her communication on her phone, and she was talking to other men, and she was scared. Giovanna told True Crime News that on the days leading up to her disappearance, Joe Daniel began to control Bianca and use money in order to stop her from getting the divorce. Bianca texted her sister saying, quote, "Daniel emptied the accounts and opened another account without my name on it. So I have no access to money except for my credit cards, which is almost at its limit. I will not be controlled by a man and money." On the Friday before she went missing, Bianca told her coworkers about Joe Daniel's threats and made jokes saying, quote, "If I go missing, Daniel's definitely has something to do with it." Although it was a joke, her coworkers found it alarming and a little bit questionable. On Sunday, May 1st, 2016, Joanna spoke to her sister for one last time. According to Giovanna, Bianca talked about going to see a lawyer. We talked a little bit about the kids and what was going to happen to them. And she wasn't too sure because she wanted the kids, and they were kind of arguing about that. The positive is that I did get to tell her that I love her. According to the missing persons report, Joe Daniel told authorities that on the night of May 1st, 2016, they both had gotten into a heated argument at their apartment. The argument began to get even more heated, and Bianca decided to leave the home and walk out. A few minutes later, Joe Daniel took the youngest child, got into his car, and drove past Bianca. According to Joe Daniel, they made eye contact as he drove off. He then said that he drove about 5 hours to Odessa, Texas, assuming that Bianca would return home after taking her walk and calming down. After arriving to Odessa, Joe Daniel dropped off his daughter at his mother's house and went to work. On Monday morning, Giovanna tried calling Bianca, but Bianca never answered her phone. She ended up calling Joe Daniel around 4 p.m., asking about Bianca and why she wasn't answering her phone. Joe Daniel ended up telling Giovanna that they had gotten into an argument and she went out for a walk, and he decided to drive back to Odessa for work. She then asked him if he left the children alone at the house. He said yes, and he assumed that Bianca would return to the house after she went on her walk. Giovanna knew that this was all out of character for both her sister and the actions that Joe Daniel took. She kept calling Bianca's phone, but there was no answers, and there was no callbacks. Giovanna texted Joe Daniel again and said, quote, "Can you call your aunt and ask her if she talked to Bianca?" Joe Daniel then responds, quote, "No, sister, just let her be for a little bit." Giovanna then replies, "She still doesn't have her car? Question mark. Joe Daniel then says, "No, probably using the guys." Giovanna took this response as if Bianca had left with one of the guys that she was talking to. Giovanna had asked Joe Daniel to have his aunt call her because she had no response. And the fact that he said to let her be really didn't sit right with her. Giovanna knew that something was wrong. So the next morning, she called Giovanna called Bianca's workplace and asked if Bianca had arrived to work. Her place of work told Bianca that she hadn't come into work that Monday or that Tuesday. That's when Giovanna decided to take actions into her own hands and go to the San Antonio Police Department and file a missing persons report for Bianca. The officer then questioned Giovanna on why didn't her husband call and set up a missing persons report for his wife. Giovanna says that she doesn't know why. The officer then told her to give him Joe Daniel's number so he could call her and ask why he didn't file a missing persons report. And when the officer called Joe Daniel then answers the phone call and says that the officer had the wrong number. A few minutes later, Joe Daniel then calls back to the office department and tells the police that in fact he was Joe Daniel. The officer asked Joe Daniel to come into the department and file a missing persons report for his wife and give them a description of what happened that night. When he came in, he told authorities that exact same story that he told Giovanna, and went on to say that she left willingly and to start a new life without him or the children. He also told authorities that they should check the guy that she was talking to when he disappeared. Authorities called the man that Bianca was texting, and they cleared him from being a suspect, and he had a strong alibi for when Bianca disappeared. Although Joe Daniel cooperated throughout the investigation, he slowly refused to take a polygraph test. 2 months after Bianca's disappearance, he then rented out his San Antonio home and moved back to Odessa, Texas with his mother. He then stopped communicating with detectives about the case and asked everyone to talk to his lawyers when it came to talking about the case. Investigators told Dateline News that Bianca's phone was last pinged near her house and was never used ever since that night. There has been no bank transactions when it came to her debit card or extracting any money from her banking or savings account. There has been no bank transaction, whether it's using her debit card, her credit cards, removing money from her checkings or savings account. There has been no transactions since the moment she disappeared. From the moment she vanished, Joe Daniel has not talked to Bianca's family and has not let them interact with the children. As of today, Joe Daniel has now dated another woman within Bianca's family and still lives in Odessa, Texas, and refuses to comment on the case. For years, Bianca's family has not stopped looking for her, but she truly vanished without a trace. The family organizes different marches and events to pass out flyers. They also started posting Bianca's case throughout social media and sharing podcasts and interviews and anything that will push Bianca's case to people. But nothing has come from it. San Antonio Police Spokesofficer Douglas Green told Crime Watch Daily News that Joe Daniel had cooperated with the case, and he did not file a police report because he thought she would come back. Officer Douglas Green also told Crime Watch Daily, quote, "Some people, they go missing. They're adults. They just don't want to be contacted." Joe Daniel's attorney, Joseph F. Holscher, told Crime Watch Daily, quote, "The Carrasco family is deeply grateful for the kind thoughts and prayers of so many people as they continue to try to adjust to their new lives. Joe and the children remain hopeful that Bianca's safe return." On July 20th, 2024, Bianca's family took a different approach to finding answers. On what would have been Bianca's 38th birthday, her family held a public event in Odessa, Texas, to share flyers with Bianca's face and information regarding to her case to show that the community that Bianca is loved and is still missing. They also started a social media campaign to spread Bianca's case to a new audience. They are sharing information and updates of the case by using the hashtag #HelpFindBiancaCarrasco, hashtag #FindBianca, and hashtag #PinkForBianca. In addition to social media campaigns and public events held at Bianca's birthday, a billboard was paid for by the nonprofit called Seasons of Justice, a foundation whose sole purpose is to financially support cold cases investigations through DNA testing and with awareness campaigns. The billboard is served as a beacon of hope, as well as letting people who know what happened to Bianca can understand that her loved ones are still looking for answers. Giovanna told NBC Ken 5 News, quote, "I'm going to post again and again and again until someone comes forward and gives the truth so that we can find my sister." Bianca Carrasco was 29 years old when she went missing in San Antonio, Texas in 2016. She has a tattoo of the letter B on her right hip. She's also 5'1", and at the time of her disappearance weighed 125 pounds. At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing blue denim jacket, pastel multicolored leggings, and wedge shoes. She was also carrying a Prada purse and a black Prada wallet. In 2024, she would be 38 years old. If you have any information on the disappearance of Bianca Carrasco, please contact the San Antonio Police Department's Missing Person Unit at 210-207-7660. And you can also remain anonymous. Once again, the number is 210-207-7660. Crime Stoppers is now offering a reward of up to $5,000 for information leading to an arrest. Although it's been a little bit over 8 years since Bianca went missing, her family is still hopeful to find answers for her disappearance. Even though the media tries to portray her as being a rebel or being promiscuous in any way, this does not mean that she cannot or should not be found. Our hearts go out to Bianca's family, Bianca's children, and Bianca's friends. We truly hope that you find answers. This is the disappearance of Bianca Carrasco.
I miss her really bad. Really, really bad. I feel like I've lost a piece of me. Like, a piece of me is gone. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get through life without her.
I was the big sister. I was going to protect my little sister. And that's what I'm here to do, to still continue to speak out for her and not let this go. I'm never going to stop fighting for her.
We will continue to share her case, her story, talk about her, look for her, do everything we can to find her.
I'm going to post again and again and again until someone comes forward and gives the truth so that we can find my sister.
So, as you know, we will leave the descriptions of where you can, submit your information if you know anything about this case, as well as leave you the links to Bianca's family and friends' social media platforms where they post constantly about any updates on Bianca, on her case, or any events that are being held. If you want to Google it and you don't want to look beneath the description of this episode, just type in "help find Bianca Carrasco" and a lot of links should be popping up. But on our description, you will find their Linktree, their GoFundMe, their Facebook, their Twitter, their Instagram, and their TikTok. Everything will be linked down below, as well as being tagged in our social media accounts. Other than that, we really, really hope you guys can either share this case, share, the flyer of Bianca. Anything would really help. Like I said, a lot of the media is focused on the extravagant story of her marrying somebody that is quote unquote her uncle, or the fact that, she was talking to other men while she was married. It's not the point of this case. The point is that she officially had tried to divorce Joe Daniel. She was on the proceedings of it, and none of the other stuff matters. A woman is still missing. A woman still needs our help to be found, and her children, most importantly, deserve to know the truth. So again, all the information will be in the links below. And as you can tell, it's just me this week. We have been having a little bit of a technical difficulty when it comes to recording, when it comes to, trying to find a rhythm again. As you know, Lupita was going through family issues. I've been going through a little bit of work change. So it's been very difficult trying to find a work podcast balance. But we will be back. So we decided to give you guys this little episode right before Thanksgiving. And hopefully next week we'll have just me and her again. Until then, here's our episode. So we do apologize that it's been taking us a while to create another episode. We're really trying to get the rhythm of things again. But until then, don't worry. We will be back to our regular schedule rhythm. And I promise you, we will definitely do this right again because it's been rocky. But I hope you find motivation to share this episode, to talk about this episode, and hopefully, spread the word about it. Because again, the family deserves answers. But until then, happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate. And remember, don't feed your dog certain things. We will put it in a flyer, post it on our stories. Don't feed your animals and specific Thanksgiving meals because it's dangerous for them. Other than that, we hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner. Enjoy the time that you have with your family, with your friends, your loved ones, and just try your best to enjoy the holidays. I know sometimes these holidays are very hard for certain people, but try your best. Just make sure to love and be loved and be kind to yourself. And until next week, bye. Stay spooky.